All right, it's time for another edition of Does It Hold Up? This is a really fun thing that I started last year when I covered Smash Mouth's Astro Lounge, and it's me looking over some albums that I used to just love and be obsessed over back in my early years, and I'm talking like middle school, like turn of the century kind of aspect. It was kind of before I dove deep into progressive rock. Like I had loved Pink Floyd, loved Yes, but like those were all kind of my dad's albums. These were albums that I owned and listened to verbatim to the point where I could recite the entire runtime of the album from start to finish. Most of these albums I've actually put on the shelf and completely forgot about because progressive rock has just like eclipsed my entire discography, right? So I decided, you know what? Let's go back and see if any of these albums hold up, you know? Again, saying this with tongue in cheek, before I developed good taste. Because some of these that I want to cover in future episodes might not have been the best. So yeah, this gives me an opportunity to kind of take off my rose-tinted glasses, even take off my Prague-tinted glasses, and just revisit some of these guys and actually see if there's any merit towards it. See if they actually hold up. This one was chosen by you. I put this poll out on my Twitter page as well as on my YouTube page, and had you guys say, hey, I've got about 4 of these artists that I'm looking to revisit. Which one do you want me to cover first? And Blink-182 won by a landslide on all of these. So let's talk about Enema of the State from Blink-182. So Blink-182, the pop, I always called these guys like bubblegum punk pop. You know, like this was kind of in the same vein, and a lot of bands were doing this at the time where it was like blending numbers and words together to create a name, right? Like Blink-182, Sum 41, Finger 11. I couldn't think of any other ones. But yeah, Blink-182 got their start in the mid-90s with Buddha, followed up with Cheshire Cat and Dude Ranch. 1999 saw their 4th studio album of Enema of the State. And I picked up this album and just listened to it from start to finish countlessly. You know, I remember very vividly when I was away at my first sleepaway camp, and to help calm my nerves, I would just, like, in my head, play this album from start to finish. Because I knew all the words, I knew all the ways that the album would go, and it would last for, you know, about a half hour and change. Broad brush strokes before I dive into this album, the first thing that really stood out to me was how so many of these songs flowed right into the other one without missing a beat, like Dumpweed and Don't Leave Me, Aliens Exist, Going Away to College, and What's My Age Again, and the big one being Adam's Song and All the Small Things. These handful of tracks that flow right into one another, they really do use the momentum of the previous track to springboard the fun aspects of the next track, and it really elevates the track to something very, very interesting and unique, so that, you know, if you're listening to this album as a whole and you're at a party, once that next track comes on, you are pumped and you're like, yeah, let's go, let's get her done. Also, the drumming, holy bananas. Travis Baker is like new on this album because in the past it was Scott Reiner. When Travis comes on the drummings, his drumming work is just fantastic. And unlike other pop rock or pop punk bands, that basically was just like play as fast as you can and just hope that the rest of the band keeps up. This guy knows that speed is a dash onto the dish rather than the dish itself, because it's his blending and being able to handle those time signatures, especially with tracks such as the party song that really is just like like really, really crazy, but then able to just pare itself back and allow itself to really blossom. My hat goes off to the guy. Like really, really, it goes off to the guy for being able to do what he does. The other thing is the changeover between Tom DeLonge and Mark Hoppus on the lead vocals. Like these guys, like the 1-2 punch of being able to just hand it over to the other guy and picking it up from where the other guy left off, and just the changeover, it really does show the synergy that these three guys have in their playing styles. And I really, really do enjoy that. So let's get into the actual tracks themselves. Obviously, the ones that I already mentioned, Dumpweed, Don't Leave Me, great ways to open up the album. Very fast paced, very like party rock in that sense. Aliens Exist is just a fun conspiracy type of a track. And part of the thing that I, kind of enjoy about that is how it blends into Going Away to College. But honestly, it's how Going Away to College transitions right into What's My Age Again, one of their more popular tracks off of this album. When I was a kid, I just thought this track was just a fun little strange track, about this guy that really can't control himself, but I didn't really realize that it really is an ADD, ADHD kind of call to help. Like, hey, this is what happens when something like this goes untreated. This is what happens when you don't know how to handle it. You just do. You have these impulses and you just do. Dysentery Gary, without my rose-tinted glasses, is not a good track. It's just like, ugh, man, I don't even know. Like, the music itself is fun. And at least I can say, like, it's catchy and all that. But, like, listening to this track and, like, putting together the lyrics on it. And, again, when I was a kid, I knew all these lyrics. And I'm like, I don't know if that was really great. This comes into Adam's song. And, oh, man, this song is so much more powerful now that I'm an adult. With the idea of, kind of preteens in my head, because Adam's song is such a potent track. It's so much deeper than I think this band really, like, it's one of those tracks that's like, Blink-182 shouldn't be this deep and this poignant. It's so realized and so like on the nose without bashing anybody over your head. Essentially about like, hey, this is kind of how people spent their days. And it wasn't all that healthy. And then, of course, this goes right into All the Small Things, which is just like, hey, happy times, look at the bright, shiny things, yay! And I'm like, wow, that's a transition, Like, All the Small Things really starts off with this, like, blaring anthem of this, like, call to arms, let's party, let's have fun, and it's with Adam's song being the track that precedes it, it's very much like, let's just blind ourselves to some of these issues. Let's blind ourselves to the like monotony, the nothing makes any sense, and let's just have a good time. It's both hedonistic, I think it is, like let's just search out pleasure at the cost of pain, but it's also very like nihilistic, like nothing makes any sense, nothing really matters in the long run, so might as well just have a party, which then goes right into the party song, which I've already mentioned. Unfortunately, I will say that the last three tracks, Mutt, Wendy Clear, and Anthem, they did not stack up to what I remember. These three tracks were completely forgotten from me. I did not remember them at all. There was no stay power. And even after so much time with them, I still can't even really remember them. So like this album does kind of go out with a whimper with these last three tracks, especially with such big tracks kind of preceding them. Yeah, Enema of the State, did it hold up? In some cases, yes, it did. Looking back and having the forethought of adulthood and my 20s behind me, there was a lot of very poignant things on it. The sheer bizarre and just complete not knowing what to do with tracks like Aliens Exist, What's My Age Again, and Adam's song, but paired that with some of the happy go fun times like Dumpweed and All the Small Things and the party song. It provided a very incoherent and disjointed listen, but I think that was the point, because that really is preteen in summary, from preteen, the transition from preteen to teenagehood. Being very disjointed and very incoherent is exactly what it is. So in that case, it really did kind of, lightning in a bottle shaped where I was at that time. And it was a very interesting way to look back on it. But some of those smaller tracks, like Don't Leave Me, the last three tracks of this album, and even like Going Away to College, it didn't really hold up all that much. But those tracks that did, like Dumpweed, What's My Age Again, Aliens Exist, the 1-2 punch of Adam's Song and All the Small Things. Those ones definitely held up. With all these, I always like to say, does it hold up or does it not? This one's, yes. Yes, it both held up and it also underwhelmed me. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I will definitely return to this in later courses in my life to see how it holds up as being an homage to the teenage lifestyle. But I don't see this going like back into my musical repertoire as, say, Astro Lounge from Smash Mouth did. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So there you go. There's Enema of the State from Blink-182. What did you guys think about this album? Have you heard this album before? Do you have kind of a history with this album like I did? And I will fully admit, if I didn't have the history with this album like I did, I would not have enjoyed it as much as I did. But there you go. Let me know of your own thoughts about this album by commenting down below. What's an album from you that you have very strong opinions of from your past that is kind of removed from your musical library discography at the moment? Let me know all about that by commenting down below. And that's about it. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.